At 45, NFL legend Junior Seau took his own life. He didn't leave a note. He didn't cry out for help. But what he did leave behind sent shockwaves through the world of football and opened a door the NFL tried to keep shut. Junior Seau wasn't just a Hall of Famer. He was the face of toughness, leadership, and pride. A player who gave everything he had until there was nothing left. But why would a man who had it all end his life with a gunshot to the chest? What was he trying to say? And what was buried beneath the surface of his seemingly perfect career? This is the devastating story of what Junior Seau left behind, and the truth the NFL could no longer ignore. Tiaina Baul Junior Seau Jr. was born in San Diego to Samoan parents. From a young age, he was a force, fast, physical, intelligent. He attended USC and quickly rose to national stardom. In 1990, he was drafted 5th overall by the San Diego Chargers. It didn't take long for Seau to become the heart of the team. He was a 10-time All-Pro, a Tizincat Alcalamo Pro Bowler, the emotional engine of the Chargers, Dolphins, and Patriots. He played 20 seasons in the NFL, 2 decades of hits, of sacrifice, of being the first in and last out. And when you watched him, it looked like he was born for it, like nothing could break him. But something was breaking, slowly, quietly. And by the time it surfaced, it was too late. Friends and family began to notice small changes after his retirement. Seau had mood swings, memory issues. He struggled with impulse control. His decision-making became erratic. He was arrested in 2010 for domestic violence and drove his SUV off a cliff hours later, calling it an accident. But was it? The people closest to him say Seau began withdrawing. He was haunted, lost, and the man who used to bring light into every room now lived in darkness. On May 2nd, 2012, Junior Seau was found dead in his home. He had shot himself in the chest. He didn't leave a note, but his choice of where to shoot himself spoke volumes. He wanted his brain to be studied. Doctors examined Seau's brain at the request of his family. What they found confirmed their worst fears. Seau had CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. The disease caused by repeated head trauma eats away at brain tissue. It leads to depression, aggression, memory loss, and eventually suicidal thoughts. CTE had been linked to boxers for years, but now it had a face in football, and not just any face, Junior Seau. This wasn't a fringe issue anymore. This was a crisis the NFL could no longer deny. The league's initial response? Silence. For decades, the NFL had downplayed the effects of concussions. They created internal committees that questioned independent research. They accused scientists of fear-mongering. And when players began speaking out, they were branded as soft. But now their golden boy was gone, and the excuse of ignorance no longer held weight. The lawsuits followed. Thousands of former players, many suffering from cognitive decline, sued the NFL for hiding the dangers of repeated head trauma. The Seau family joined that lawsuit in 2013. Eventually, the league settled for nearly $1 billion. But money wasn't the point. The truth was out, and it wasn't going back in the box. Junior Seau's death became a turning point, not just for the NFL, but for every athlete who ever picked up a helmet. Suddenly, the league was forced to act. They implemented new concussion protocols. They made helmet-to-helmet hits illegal. They introduced sideline neuroevaluations, medical tents, and return-to-play baselines. But was it enough? Because while the rules changed, the culture was slower to follow. Players still feared losing their jobs if they self-reported symptoms. Coaches still rewarded the tough guy mentality. Fans still celebrated big hits. The damage wasn't just physical, it was systemic. And Junior Seau, whether he wanted to or not, became a symbol of that damage. Seau left behind more than a Hall of Fame legacy. He left behind children, a grieving mother, teammates shattered by guilt, and a sport forced to look in the mirror. His death inspired a wave of research, documentaries, and difficult conversations. His name is now engraved on the wall of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but also in the fight for brain health in sports. In 2016, he was posthumously inducted into Canton. His family gave a speech on his behalf, but the applause rang hollow, because for many watching, the honor came too late. At 45, Junior Seau took his own life, and what he left behind was devastating, not just in grief but in truth. He wasn't just a casualty of football, he was a casualty of a system that refused to see its own reflection. Today, the conversation around CTE and player safety continues, but there's still so much more to be done. If this story impacted you, let us know in the comments. Do you think the NFL has changed enough? Was Junior Seau's death preventable? Subscribe to NFL Unwritten for more untold stories, because the game doesn't end when the whistle blows.